The tale begins with Ichinos, who had a rough start in his early years. His friend Hanabi bullied him for as long as he could remember, turning insults into casual observations that he somehow just accepted. Even landing in a medical facility from stress didn't make her ease up. She sat by his bedside, calling him worthless and a failure of a significant other, yet she still refused to break up with him. "You're too nice," she claimed, "and I'm not about to waste a perfectly good doormat." That's when Ichinose snapped. He told her they should end the relationship. Hanabi was floored. Her mind briefly shut down. It wasn't always this bad, or maybe it was, and Ichinose was just slow to catch on. In the past, he had been playing in the sand and minding his own business when Hanabi wandered over and asked if he was making an elephant. He replied that he was, and then she just stared at him. No expression, just staring. It was unsettling. Everyone thought she was super nice, so she kept playing with him, and he began to wonder if he was the weird one. He even apologized, though he wasn't sure why. That pretty much set the tone for the rest of his life. Hanabi would throw insults at him, and he'd just take it. She made him take notes for an end, forced him to be her significant other, and if he didn't text her back quickly enough, he'd be called inconsiderate, heartless, and probably responsible for global warming too. Then came the high school years, also known as Hannah's tyranny era. One day she texted him, ordering him to meet her and her friends at the station. His stomach was already churning, and he thought about bailing, but he knew how that would end. So like a man with no survival instincts, he grabbed his umbrella and went. She texted again, "Be there in 5 minutes." He pointed out it was raining, which turned out to be a huge mistake. She hit him with the guilt trip of the century, making it sound like he was personally trying to give her pneumonia. Of course, she added the classic, "No one else cares about you, Saratane," for good measure. So off he went, running through the downpour like a protagonist in a tragic love story, except way less cool. When he arrived expecting some grand emergency, he found her eating with her friends indoors. He texted to say he'd arrived, but she just told him he took too long and had to wait outside in the rain. And wait he did. For an hour. Turns out he wasn't just standing there like an idiot. He was a part of a bet. Hanabi and her friends had been gambling on whether or not he'd actually wait that long. Spoiler. He did. When she finally came out, she laughed at how waterlogged he was, comparing his hair to a wet mop, as if it were all just a fun joke. In front of everyone, she casually declared that he'd do anything she said. For the first time, he felt his stomach drop. He realized he should have left ages ago, maybe even years ago. When he finally told her they were done, she short-circuited again. Fast forward to the medical facility, and there she was, still in shock. She climbed onto his bed, acting like he had no right to end the relationship. "Breaking up with me! That's not how this works!" she exclaimed, going full dramatic mode, claiming no one else would ever date a loser like him. Maybe she was right, but for the first time in his life, Ichinose truly didn't care. Whether he ended up alone forever or not, one thing was certain. He was finally unshackled. Hanabi was pushed out of his clinic room as Ichinose asked her if she was happy now that she was rid of her ineffectual significant other. He shut the door behind her. Hannah pounded on the door, demanding an apology. A nurse came over and told her to quiet down because it was a medical facility. Hanabi apologized, saying they had a fight and it was her fault for losing her temper when Ichinose got sick. She said she was leaving now and bowed an apology for causing a scene. As she walked away, she thought about how socialites with good looks are always in high demand. She texted Ichinose, saying she was getting irritated and that he should apologize to her. She tried to manipulate him again, saying he had no other friends. She even scolded him for reading her messages. But this time he blocked her, realizing she twisted everything to make herself a victim. Back in his clinic bed, Ichinose remembered how Hanabi used to bully him about his looks when they were kids. She'd asked if he had ever looked in a mirror, saying that if she had a face like his, she'd never show it to anyone because people would make fun of her. She suggested he grow his hair out to cover his face. Ichinose lay in bed, thinking about how all of Hannah's words had crushed his self-esteem. Because of her, he had never understood his own worth. But now he decided to cut his hair after leaving the medical facility. That night, he fell asleep, finally liberated. After 13 years, his toxic relationship with Hanabi was officially over. When he returned to school, the reaction was instant. The girls went crazy. Ichinose looks amazing, and no one even recognizes him at first. They think he's a new student. Girls gush over his silky hair and sharp eyes, calling him their type. Overwhelmed by all the attention, Ichinose doesn't know how to react. His friend Haruta laughs and tells him people are talking about him. It's the first time in his life that someone has ever told him he looks good. Haruta points out that Ichino's used to have bangs that covered his face, and now that it's visible, he looks like a completely different person. They tell him he looks much better without the bangs, and that they never imagined their class had such a handsome guy. Haruta asks why he decided to change his look now. Ichinose jokes that he just felt like switching things up. Haruta compliments him, saying he looks much better this way, and Ichinose thanks him, feeling genuinely happy. Then he notices 3 girls crying while looking at him, which confuses him. Haruta laughs and tells him there's still a lot he needs to learn. Ichinose apologizes for making the class atmosphere weird by shutting himself off for so long. He expresses that he wants to talk more with people and hopes to get along with everyone. The class is happy to hear this, and they're excited that the serious guy with bangs turns out to be attractive after all. Later at lunch, they all sit together. Haruta admits that he never imagined Ichinose could hold a normal conversation, saying that if they had known, they would have hung out with him sooner. Ichinose apologizes again for being so withdrawn, and says he's happy to be talking with them now. Haruta tells him he's kind and good-looking. Ichinose just smiles, saying his personality and appearance are nothing special. But that smile drives the girls crazy. Haruta laughs, calling his looks a natural treasure, and warns him not to smile too much or he'll cause chaos. Ichinose finds it funny and laughs, making the girls swoon even more. Suddenly an angry Hanabi shows up. Ichinose recognizes that she's really mad. He doesn't care whether it's because he ignored her or because they broke up. It's no longer his problem. He tries to walk away, but she blocks him. He remembers how Hanabi used to smugly say that since she was the prettiest girl in school, it would be a scandal if people found out they were dating. She thought she was way out of his league and didn't want anyone questioning her taste, so she made him promise not to tell anyone. Haruta asks Ichinose if he knows her, and he just says he's never seen her before, then walks away. Hanabi storms off, furious at being completely rejected. Ichinose finishes his math work early and realizes he has 15 minutes to spare. His mind briefly drifts to his last run-in with Hanabi. She's probably still fuming somewhere, but honestly, he doesn't care. As he looks around pondering how to kill time, he notices a girl with glasses sitting nearby reading a book. A sudden gust of wind blows something out of her book, and without thinking, Ichinose picks it up and hands it back to her. She thanks him and he casually says, "No problem." But she looks a little surprised, and that's when it hits him. This is the first time they've ever spoken. Hanabi used to drill into his head that no girl would ever like him. She'd say she was only dating him out of pity, as if she was doing him a huge favor. Because of her, Ichinose never really learned how to talk to girls on his own. He always thought he would just make things awkward, so he avoided it altogether for years. Hanabi was pretty much the only girl he talked to, and even those conversations were more like one-sided lectures. Now, standing there, Ichinose admits to the girl that he's never really tried making friends before, and apologizes if he made her uncomfortable. To his surprise, she blushes and reassures him that everything's fine. She even introduces herself, hoping they can get along. Ichinose already knows who she is, and when he says so, she smiles, happy that they finally talked. Later, Yukishiro teases him about how everyone has been fawning over him since he cut his hair. Ichinose just shrugs it off, saying people will get over it soon enough, like they do with anything rare. Yukishiro laughs and calls him funny. Talking to her feels so different from talking to Hanabi. With Yukishiro, he doesn't have to overthink everything or worry about saying the wrong thing. He can just be himself, which is a nice change of pace. She mentions how she always wanted to talk to him because she noticed him taking care of the flowers and watering the plants after school. She thought he seemed like a kind person. Ichinose brushes it off, saying he was just killing time while waiting for Hanabi and that he's not as kind as she thinks. Yukishiro laughs and hands him her book, joking that he's going to be super popular now. Later, Ichinose heads to an arcade, tries his luck at a claw machine, and fails miserably. Instead, he decides to buy some food. Everywhere he goes, girls seem to flock to him, which still feels pretty surreal. He sits down to eat and realizes that now that he's broken up with Hanabi, he doesn't have to deal with her unceasing messages anymore. No more scolding for not replying quickly enough. Still, his heart races every time his phone rings. Old habits die hard, I guess. But he tells himself it will fade with time. She's never going to text him again.